Hey, so today we're going to take a look at how data can make you more creative. We're going to focus in the realm of content creation, specifically for advertising, but the broad principles here really apply to most creative efforts. Before diving into this question, we need to really look at another question first, which is how do you know whether what you're making is going to be perceived as creative? uh, because creativity really is in the eye of the beholder. A guy who studied this question deeply is a guy named Alan Gannett. He wrote a book called The Creative Curve, and I'm going to do an oversimplification of one of the key principles of the creative curve, and that is for an audience to recognize something as creative or perceive it as creative, it needs to fall right at that sweet spot between something that they would consider too familiar versus something that would be too novel. Too familiar is cliche, there's nothing interesting about it. Too novel is too esoteric. They can't even wrap their heads around what you're actually showing them. So they need to be able to get the reference, and then recognize your clever twist that you put on it. So here's a fantastic example of an ad that makes use of this principle. It's from Keloptic, a French eyewear brand. And you see here that the recognizability for this to be actually considered creative, you need to actually know Van Gogh's painting. And maybe something like this would be lost on a different audience. Maybe 18-year-old skater kids might not get the reference like Keloptic's audience gets the reference. And then, of course, the creative twist is how the eyewear brings the Impressionist painting into focus. So how do you know whether your audience is going to get the reference? Basically, comes down to the question of how do you understand your audience and your audience's worldview? And this quote by Margaret Heffernan captures it pretty effectively. And she basically looks at creativity the way lots of other creativity researchers do, which is creativity is just connecting dots. And in order to be good at creativity, you need lots and lots of dots to connect. So what can you do if you don't have the time or budget to do endless focus group testing? You could look to a tool like Audience Genomics, which is a massive dot collection tool. It basically analyzes the world's largest focus group, which is social media, to identify what audiences find interesting and compelling. It does all of that input work, that dot collection work for you, so that you have the best ingredients to work with to put your own clever creative twist on it and do the fun part of actually creating. So if you want to learn more about this, check back at this channel. We're going to be putting content like this out every week, or check us out at audiencegenomics.com.